Caitriona, it's a pleasure to talk to you. This woman lived in books, and millions of people were waiting for her to be in the flesh, and you have given life to her in a fantastic way that has been praised by not only the fans but also the critics. How was to give life to become Claire for you?
It was really fantastic. When I got offered the part, it all happened very quickly. I found out I got the job on a Tuesday, and by the Friday I was in Scotland. So it was quite an intense period. But she's just such a wonderful woman. You know, what I loved about her was how she's such a survivor. She really is, she uses her intelligence and her wit and all of these great qualities to get through some pretty arduous situations. But what I most of all love about her is her lust for life. You know, I think that she has such a capacity for empathy and for passion, and it just felt like such an incredible woman to be able to play.
Her ability to survive is phenomenal, and in the first episodes we see that she learns her new environment and she learns what to do, how to say things in order to be alive. But then she falls in love. Is this an aspect that allows her or lets her lose a little bit that guard that she has been building at first?
I think initially, yes, she gets sidetracked a little bit. I mean, in the first half of the season, she has a very singular focus, which is to get back home. And once she meets Jamie and she is forced into marrying him, this all changes. You know, she falls in love very quickly, and then I think she puts aside some of her determination to get back, number one, but also maybe her guard comes down a little. And we see, obviously in episode 8, we saw some of the consequences to that. And going further, I don't think that necessarily falling in love going forward, I don't know, changes how she acts or views the world, but she has to make a decision about how she's going to go forward. You know, does she accept her fate, or does she continue to try and get back? And that's a big decision for her to make.
I think that the most amazing thing about Outlander is that there's a parallel. And I think it's very important that we finally have a heroine that is playing in the field of a woman. She's not trying to fight like a man. She uses who she is, her mind, what you say, her knowledge, to survive. And also, the parallel is because we have a series in which there's a woman who leads. There's a woman who has the responsibility with the fans of the books, with the responsibility of the production in general. So how do you see those two sides that collide, that play together here, better said?
Well, I think, you know, the great thing about playing a character who's very strong and who's very resilient is that you're exercising those sides of yourself as well. And I think that that's a nice parallel. It has shown me how much I can handle, how much I can take on, and you know, I came out of season 1 relatively unscathed. So in that way, it's been really nice. It's been really nice to sort of realize where our similarities lie in those ways. But what I love about this show is, even though, you know, we have this central female character, the male characters are equally as developed, and it gives a really balanced world, and that's what I love, and I think that's what draws so many people in. I think sometimes when you have a very strong male character as the lead of a show, the female characters can tend to be quite secondary. But in this way, it's just a nice balanced look at people and their relationships, so I think that's quite cool.
This series are also, it's a love letter to Scotland, and in a specific period we're telling history, getting to know a part of the world in detail, and these men and women and how they live, how they interact. So it has that other value. How challenging was, because I understand that the production with weather, with the big costumes, how was that?
You know, well, I'm Irish, so I'm quite used to that weather. It can be challenging, but it also, I think, adds such a great texture to the show. And I don't think you could have filmed anywhere else. You know, Scotland is so beautiful, and when we're filming, I mean, we just go to the most incredible places, and it's hard to believe that they're real, and that, you know, there's so much of that landscape that's just left untouched, and it feels ancient. And when you're shooting there, you feel, I don't know, this magical quality that the landscape, I don't know, gives you, and then in turn you see it on the show. And what we also feel so good about is the fact that there's so many crafts, Scottish crafts, that, you know, these are craftspeople who have been, you know, these skills have been handed down generation after generation, and we're able to incorporate that and bring them into our show, and show off the amazing, you know, heritage that's there. So it's really important, and you know, we have such an amazing crew, and it just feels really great to be able to show the world Scotland.
It's wonderful. Let's talk about love. We are accustomed to some productions in which we see the ideal love, but here we see something very real, raw. We see all the layers. We see that there is not only one love, but a woman or a man can love more than one person with the same intensity, but we also see how difficult it is, and how not easy, how there are so many aspects at play. How is that for you?
Well, that was one of the really fun things to play, and to be able to explore that. I mean, human emotion is not black and white. There's so many grey areas, and we felt it was really important in the beginning to show that Claire really loses something in Frank. And their relationship, even though it wasn't perfect, that there was a lot of love there. I mean, you know, they're a couple that have struggled with a lot of separation. You know, they're trying to get to know each other again. They're trying to but they've changed as people. And I think that relationship was one that Claire never really had to question. You know, she met him when she was very young. It was almost like the baton of being a caretaker had passed from her uncle to Frank. They're very similar types of men. And so it seemed like a logical progression of her life, but it was, again, something she didn't really question. And so when she goes back into the 18th century and meets Jamie, you know, there's so much guilt, there's so much confusion, but I think that Jamie really shows her that she has this deeper capacity for a different type of love and passion, and something that's, you know, her coming to it as a woman. I think that's the difference. I think with Frank, you know, Claire fell in love as a girl, and with Jamie, this is a woman falling in love, and it's a complicated relationship. You know, she's not just going to be sort of the woman on his arm. You know, that's never going to be who Claire is. It's just not in her DNA. And so that causes a lot of conflict and tension between the two of them. But I think it makes for a great story and great TV.
And audiences are loving it. Thank you very much. And thank you for this character and this heroine that we needed so much.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you.